All right, guys, you got this. Let's go. Gun right, triple E. Close X, go. On one, on one.
Ready?
Ready.
What's up, guys? It's Pick'em with HuddleGG. Welcome back to another episode of Ask Huddle. If you guys are new here, this is a series that we do each week where we answer your guys' questions. So if you guys have a question you'd like answered in a future video, wherever you're watching this, just make sure you leave that question in the comment section below, and we will do our very best to get to it. If you don't see us getting to that in a future video, you can always join our free Discord by going to HuddleGG/Discord, and we answer your guys' questions in there as well. Again, appreciate you guys being here. With that being said, let's dive right into this week's episode. And the first question comes from CU Freeze, and they ask, what's the best way to run the Y cross concept out of the air raid? Now, for those of you that know me, know that I love the air raid offense. It's something that I really fell in love with a couple of years ago, and I've been running it in Madden and in college football this year as well. And if you're looking for the best playbook, you can always use the air raid playbooks themselves. My personal preference in Madden is going to be the Washington Commanders. It has a lot of your staples of the air raid, but it has some more modern RPOs and some unique routes very specific to that playbook. And then in college, the USC playbook is very comparable, and we actually did a full game plan out of the USC offense earlier this year, so you can go check that out on our website as well. But with that being said, let's dive right into it. And again, the concept that he is asking about today is Y cross. Now, Y cross is a staple in the air raid, and if we come out in this play, you're going to see this is what the stock player is going to look like the majority of the time. And what we really want to find on this play is that B route on that post curl. Okay, not every Y cross concept in the game is going to have that post curl. You're especially going to see in other playbooks that aren't specifically air raid, if they have a Y cross style play, that post curl is not there. It's either a dig, sometimes it's a normal curl. There are different routes that it will be, but that post curl does a really good job depending on what the user does here on this play. So what we want to do setup wise is the only person I really change is going to be that Y receiver. Sometimes I'll leave him there. Sometimes I'll put him on a short out. Sometimes I'll put him on a hitch and stem it down. Sometimes I will put him on a drag, and that's going to be our first read, right? So if we say, hi, can we have him on the drag? They're not covering that. We're just going to take that easy 5 yards time and time again. We're not even going to second guess it. We're just going to make that throw. And again, you're going to see that if those linebackers are backing up, that's going to be an easy read for us right over the middle of the field, and we're going to be able to get that easy completion. Now, what you'll see people start to do is they're going to start playing more aggressively downhill, whether we're running the hitch, whether we're running the drag, because they want to take away that Y because we've thrown it to them a couple of times. So when you see that, our next read is going to be that A on the crossing route. So if you see them stay down, we're going to now be able to hit that A across the middle of the field on that deep crosser. And again, this is just because we're taking advantage of the opponent. If they're going to play aggressively down towards our drag, towards our hitch, that's going to now open up this second window here for that crossing route. Now, when it comes to the third route that we're looking for, it's going to be that post curl. Because you can see here, let's say that this is the user and they don't follow the Y cross all the way across the field. This is a throw we don't want to make because he's right there. What you're going to see a lot of times is they will follow this crosser because they're conditioned to, right? In Madden, a lot of people want to follow the crossing route. It's just something that's natural for them, and it's something that they think they have to take away with their user every single time. So if we go to set up that same thing again, and you see right here that we say hike, and we notice that they're following that crossing route, that's going to now open up this post curl. We're just going to be able to throw that there, come back to the ball, try to possession catch that, and get ourselves an easy completion there as well. So again, if they take away our first read here, they run with this route here to take away the cross. That's going to now open up this second window here for the post curl, and you can see the separation he gets there from the corner. We're able to make that read there. And again, just a really nice spacing play here where you can see that we have this guy down low to the left side. We have this guy crossing deep. We have this guy sitting right here, just inside the numbers, and we have the running back going out to the flat as well. So a very, very nice play and a very, very effective play if you use it correctly. Like I said, when it comes to adjusting, the only thing I would really adjust personally is just changing that Y route to make your opponent have to think, what's that Y doing? Which is then going to, again, be an easy completion for us, or it's going to open up that A. And again, make sure you have that post curl on the field as your last resort there, because that's going to be a nice route when the user does cover that crossing route, and always have that running back as your last option as your check down. Our next question today comes from EKG Chiefs, and they ask, do you still need Edge Threat Elite if you have Colossus? And this question actually will apply to Unstoppable Force or Colossus as well. And the short answer is kind of. You still can use Edge Threat Elite, but you don't necessarily need it. I'm going to show you why. So if we look at our ability here and we look at Edge Threat Elite, right? So if we go here and we look at Edge Threat Elite, it says dominant edge rush moves and increased quarterback pressure. So there are two things involved in this ability, right? It's edge threat and it's under pressure. When it comes to the edge threat portion of this ability, you do not need that if you already have Colossus or Unstoppable Force. You're not going to beat the blocker more if you have this ability. Okay, if you have Colossus or you have Unstoppable Force, you don't need any other pass rushing ability to actually increase the amount of times that you win when it comes to those one-on-one situations. And obviously we know with Colossus, it can beat double teams as well. Now, where Edge Threat Elite could still help you if you had Colossus or Unstoppable Force is the under pressure aspect of this ability. So under pressure is a larger area of effect for quarterback pressure and disruption. Now, you don't need to have Edge Threat Elite for this to happen, right? You could have Colossus and then just put under pressure as well. But if you have the ability to get Edge Threat Elite for 0 AP or something like that on your player, and you already have Colossus on him, you could utilize this to help get that increased quarterback pressure, right? Don't expect this to help you win more when it comes to the actual pass rush move itself, but you can utilize the quarterback pressure aspect of this ability, and you can couple that with something like Colossus or Unstoppable Force. So again, it's not something that I would say is something I would rush to get and be like, oh, I need this ability. But if you do have the option to get this, having that extra ability to force bad throws when you get that quarterback under pressure, that's not a bad thing to couple with Unstoppable Force or Colossus, because you are going to get to that quarterback quicker. And if they're starting to release the ball before you get there, having that under pressure ability will force your opponent to have some more errant throws and maybe force some more turnovers for you there on the defensive side of the ball. So again, short answer, it's not going to help you with the pass rush moves, but it will still help you get those under pressure penalties on your opponent's quarterback. Our next question today comes from William, and they ask, what does shading inside or outside do in zone coverage? Now, this is a great question, actually one we get a decent amount of the time. So let's really dive into how this looks and what it does in Madden. So when we are looking at our defense here and we look at our, we're just in a cover 4 drop here. If we're shading inside or outside, it's only going to affect our underneath zones. Okay, so it's not going to affect our deep blues really, but our underneath zones can be affected by shading inside or outside. But it is dependent on the route combination as well. Somebody has to be running to the area you want them to cover in order for them to shade the way you do. And I'll show you what I mean here. So if we just pay attention to this right of screen linebacker here for this video, right? This is going to be the guy we're focusing on. You can see he's in a hook curl. This is the middle of his bubble. This would be the inside of his bubble. And then obviously this would be the outside of his bubble. So if we are paying attention to him and we want to cover more to the inside, okay, so if we shade to the inside and they're running a route combination like this, again, very popular route combination in years past out of a bunch look, what we want to see is, again, look at the guy with the M above his head. We're going to see his reaction when we do it this way. So if we say hike here, you're going to see that he's going to first step to the inside and he's going to essentially go to the inside of his bubble first. And that's going to be his first reaction, right? So if we look at the replay here real quick, you're going to see that his first reaction is to the inside, right? Help out with that drag, and then he's going to stay with that crosser. And once he gets to a certain point, he's not going to obviously follow it all the way across the field, but you can see obviously that he is first moving to the inside when we shade to the inside. Now, if we set up that same route combination here on the offensive side, and now this time we shade to the outside, you're going to see that same middle linebacker, right? This guy right here is going to react different when we shade to the outside against the same exact route combination. So if we do this route combination now, you're going to see how his first steps are to the outside. Okay, so if we look at this in replay, you're going to see you're able to take away a different route by understanding what you can do with this shading, right? So if you see here, he's not taking that first step to the inside, right? The first step he's taking is to the outside. And again, an easy way to think about it is his first reaction is going to be to that side of the bubble that we looked at with the zone, right? So he's going to get to that outside edge of the bubble first. If we shade outside, again, assuming that there are routes going to that area of the field, right? So you see here, obviously he doesn't go to the tight end at all, and he doesn't really take that crosser to the middle of the field like he did on the last rep. He's more focused on this right side of that yellow bubble, right? So if we look at the zone here, he was more focused on being over to this area of the field. Now, when this, again, I mentioned it has to do with the route combination that our opponent is running. So if we come out and we send everybody to the outside here, right? So if we put all of these guys here to the flat, right? So if we send all 4 guys, right? Obviously, this isn't a route combination that your opponent is going to run, but I want to show you that if we do that and we shade to the inside, that middle linebacker to the right side of the screen, his first steps are not going to be to the inside now because there's no route threatening him there. So he's not going to really, quote unquote, listen to our shading, right? So if we say hike here, you're going to see his first steps are still to the outside. Okay, so again, it is dependent on route combination, but if you do know the route combination that your opponent is running, you can utilize the shading inside or outside to help you take away a specific route, and then that'll allow you to use or somebody else. So again, you see here, his first steps are not to the inside because there's no routes going to the inside. All of the routes are going to the outside, so he's still going to flow that way, even if we shade inside or outside. So again, the route combinations can override what we do with our shading, but if you understand what your opponent is running and you do shade appropriately, you can utilize this mechanic to really get some more stops on the defensive side of the ball. Our last question today comes from Brad F, and they ask, what's the better ability, reinforcement or dual threat? Now, I want to preface this by saying there's not really a best ability no matter what, because it's dependent on what position you're putting this ability on and what you ask that player to do in your specific defense, right? So for instance, if we're just taking this and we think about the ability Colossus, right? Dominates against blockers, even against double teams. If we have that on a pass rusher, that's great. If we have it on a safety who's playing zone every play, that's not a good ability at all. So it does depend on what we are looking to do with our defense. But let's look at each of these abilities, see what they do, and then again, you can make that decision on which one would be better for your specific player. Now, if we go to reinforcement first, you're going to see that it says higher chance to defeat run blocks and disrupt catches. Okay, so again, higher chance to defeat run blocks and disrupt catches. If we look at dual threat, it says higher chance to defeat pass blocks and disrupt catches. So they have a very similar thing when it comes to disrupting catches. Right now, when it comes to the disrupting catches portions of these abilities, it's pretty much every KO ability in the game, but you don't get the improved reaction time to the pass. Okay, so you're not going to break on the ball quicker with either of these abilities, but if you are close to the receiver when he is catching the ball, you are going to get that KO opportunity. Again, dual threat and reinforcement are the exact same when it comes to that portion. Now, where they do differ is when it comes to the first part of this ability, where dual threat is a higher chance to defeat pass blocks, and reinforcement is a higher chance to defeat run blocks. So if you have a player who's an off-ball linebacker or somebody that you're not really sending after the quarterback much, and you just want him to be able to play the run really well and get those zone KOs or those man KOs, you're going to want to have reinforcement on that player more than dual threat, because again, you're able to take advantage of the first part of this ability and the second part. When it comes to dual threat, this is going to be a player that you may have like an edge rusher, an outside linebacker, a defensive end, somebody that you do send after the quarterback where you want him to be able to get a nice pass rush, but you also may drop this guy into coverage at times and you want him to be able to, again, get those pass breakups with those KOs as well. So again, dual threat is going to be something that you put on a player that you do send after the quarterback more often. Where reinforcement is going to be something that you don't really want to have on a player that you're sending after the quarterback consistently, just because you're not getting any benefit in rushing the passer with reinforcement where you would with dual threat. But again, if we switch that around and we have an off-ball linebacker where we're not really sending him after the quarterback at all, dual threat's not really helping us, and we're not using it to its maximum potential, that's where you would want to have reinforcement, because you'd be able to take advantage of the first part with the defeating run blocks, and you'd also have that KO ability. So again, it's completely dependent on what defense you run and what specific player you're looking to adding these abilities to. But like I said, reinforcement is going to be better for those players that are not rushing the passer, and then your dual threat is going to be a better ability to put on your players who you do use to rush that passer a little bit more frequently. And if you guys are looking to get even better at Madden or college football, make sure to join our free Discord by going to HuddleGG/Discord. Have a great day.